Welcome to Series 2, Episode 13 of the In Her Financial Shoes podcast. Welcome to the In Her Financial Shoes podcast with me, Catherine Morgan, founder of The Money Panel, helping you to get financially naked. Listen in each week where we talk about that taboo subject of money. Listen to brutally real-life stories, step into our guest shoes and be left feeling 100% confident and in control. Oh, and we hate financial jargon, so don't expect any here. Small steps, big wins, let's go. Welcome to the podcast. So I'm going to be really honest with you. I am so tired this morning. I was at the Women in Financial Advice Awards in London yesterday. I've been in London 3 times this week, actually. It's been lovely. The sun's been shining. It's just been beautiful. But I didn't get home till 2 o'clock this morning. I got on the train about 11:30, got back into Milton Keynes about 1 o'clock, I think it was. And then I realised that the car park that I'd parked in closes at midnight. So I then had to go and get some cash out and jump in a cab and get home. And I've got to go and pick my car up later. Silly me. But I had a really incredible evening last night, surrounded by just some phenomenally inspiring women that are, doing some incredible things in this incredible profession. And often I think we forget how incredible being in financial services really is. There is so much opportunity to work in so many different areas of expertise in financial services. And it was actually a conversation that I was having on a panel discussion this week in London about diversity and inclusion and how we can get more women into higher positions in their organisations, having more confidence to have those kind of conversations. And last night just really kind of tied all those loose ends up for me in terms of being surrounded by women that are doing incredible things in the profession. And I walked away with an incredible little plaque, a W pink plaque, which for those of you that know me know that I like my pink, for highly commended in Role Model of the Year. So I was really, quite chuffed with that, really. I was sitting on a table with some other winners as well. And it was just lovely to be recognised. But to be honest with you, I think what it really made me think about, and there was an incredibly insightful speaker there actually, who was in the London bombings. And it really made me think about how often sometimes we look for external validation in our successes. And, whilst it's lovely to win an award, it's not necessary. And sometimes we just need to go back into our own self-belief and think about our own capabilities, and just, talking to that inner voice, that inner critic, putting that inner critic to bed and thinking about how, we are all capable of achieving amazing things. So we don't need necessarily external validation, but it was wonderful to walk away with an award last night. So thank you for everybody who has supported me so far on my journey. And a massive thank you to you listeners, because without you, I wouldn't be here. So that's my award speech done. And on to the main part of the show. So in today's episode, we're going to be focusing on what is the fastest way for you to build wealth. So today I want to help those of you who may be feeling a little stuck, who perhaps have listened to the series so far and maybe thinking, how do I just get started? Now, I'm a massive believer in getting your behaviours and habits right first before you get started. Why is that? This is because the fastest way for you to build wealth, are you ready for this? Pen and paper, is to adjust your spending habits so that you can save more, you can be more conscious about your spending habits and be proactive, not reactive. There you go. There's your answer. But we're going to dig into this a little bit deeper in today's podcast episode. It's going to be a shorter one because I think actually having a combination of shorter podcasts and longer podcasts is useful, because I know that time is precious and I really appreciate you spending the time actually listening to me in the first place. So I'm going to keep this one fairly brief. But you may be thinking, okay, Catherine, so the fastest way to build wealth is to think about your behaviours and your habits. Now, you may think that because I'm an expert in money, that I'm great with numbers, I'm great with my behaviours. Absolutely has never been the case. Obviously, I've spent a lot of time focusing on my behaviours and my habits. And I would say that is the best place for you to get started. Don't worry about the technical expertise, the technical jargon. In a way, you're better to get started and get perfect later. So, I'm not a lover of spreadsheets. I'm not great with numbers. Maths was never my strongest subject at school. And I've never been good in the past about making financial decisions. Quite the opposite, in fact. Most of my early memories around money had a huge impact on my life, and particularly how I dealt with money. I know I've touched upon this on a couple of different episodes, but I lived most of my teenage years dealing with eating disorders, and that caused me to have a very poor relationship with my purse strings. And I spent money to make myself feel better. Now, for those of you that are listening to this that can resonate with that, I spent most of my money on clothes, but some of you may be overspending on other areas of your life, not necessarily clothes, but maybe on food or things that are affecting your mental health. How many of us talk about this? Mental health and money are so intrinsically linked, so intrinsically related. How many of you have found that trauma in your life has changed the way that you manage your money or don't manage your money? So we need to recognize that our emotions, things that are going on for us in our life, will have an impact on how we make decisions around money. We're driven by the thought processes that we have that drive the emotion that we feel, that then drive the decisions that we make. Now, we talked a little bit more about this on last week's episode. So if you haven't yet listened to that, then please go ahead and rewind back to last week's episode. We explore this in a little bit more detail. But the challenge that I had growing up was with having a very spontaneous, impulsive relationship with money. And this is really common. I see this almost every single day with the women that I coach and the women that are in my membership circle. Compulsive behaviour is often associated with mental health illnesses such as depression or anxiety, and money can be hugely influential. And for many of us, we may have an impulsive relationship with food or alcohol, for example, which can cause financial difficulties. For me, it was clothes. And because money is still such a taboo subject, which doesn't help the situation, let's face it, this can lead to just us burying our heads in the sand, right? Who can resonate with that? So these negative emotions that we associate with money then lead us to stay stuck in this cycle of impulsive spending. And that's the bit that we need to change. That's the bit we need to kind of dig into underneath the surface to explore what is going on for us at the subconscious level that we can actually bring to the conscious level. So the fastest way for you to build wealth, to move one step forward, because that's, it's always the direction that we want to be heading is forward, not looking back, but looking forward, are these tips. Are you ready for these? So number one, don't focus on instant gratification. Often we're too focused on buying things for instant pleasure. So instead, think about your spending as current spending versus future spending. The more you save now, the more you can spend later. It's your current self versus your future self. Don't focus on instant gratification. And one of the things that you could do around this, if you resonate with this particular tip, is to write a list of things that you're already really super grateful for in your life. I remember doing this exercise back in the days when I was spending £300 or £400 a month on Amazon on stuff that I just didn't need, because the emotion that was driving it for me was not good enough, not feeling good enough, feeling that if I just had these more things in my life, that I would feel better about myself. So don't focus on instant gratification. Write a gratitude list of things that you are grateful for that you already have in your life. And this can very much link actually to wants versus needs. Do you want it or do you need it? This is a great exercise to do with your kids as well, by the way. I did this with my two boys, George and Thomas, last weekend. We flipped up on the wall one of these magic charts that you can just stick to the wall. And George, my eldest, who is a massive emotional spender, was talking about another football kit that he wanted to buy. And so I said to him, George, do you need it or do you want it? And he didn't understand that concept. Of course, he didn't understand that concept. This was about me explaining to him the differences between a want and a need. And so he flipped it up on the magic jar. He drew out 2 columns, wants and needs. And even after describing it to him, he still didn't quite get it. And it's taken a couple of conversations to really get that cemented in his mind, the difference between a want and a need. A want is something that you desire, and a need is something that you physically cannot do without, food, shelter, water. We cannot survive without these things. So we now have a list on the wall of things that sit in his need and things that sit on his want list. And actually, it was quite funny because one of the things that he put on his need list was a haircut. And I kind of had to agree with him. I thought, well, technically you could survive without it, but, his hair was hanging in his eyes. So we put that on the need list. So my second tip number 2, is be intentional with money. So getting really clear on knowing exactly what you want and measuring what is important to you is really, really important. I love this quote actually from Napoleon Hill, which is, goals in writing are dreams in deadlines. Getting intentional with money, understanding what you're saving for, what are you investing for in the first place? You've got to get clear on that first before you make that first step. And actually getting those goals and those intentions out onto paper is where dreams can start to come alive. We need to get it out of our heads and onto paper. But, and there's one big but here, one goal at a time. Don't try and focus on too many things at the same time. You can have lots of different goals, but just focus on one thing at a time. I'm a massive believer in financial intentions. So that's the second tip. Tip number 3, focus on who is in your boat. I've just coming out of the back end of a 5-day challenge, which some of you may have experienced in my Facebook group this week. And one of the tasks and challenges that I set for those in the challenge was to think about who is in your boat, because we're not experienced in everything. We're not experienced necessarily in dealing with money. So this is about who is in your boat, but not just financially. So financially, come and join the money circle and I can be your money coach in your back pocket. I can be that person in your boat, giving you direction, helping you to sail calmly across those stormy seas. But you'll also need other people in your boat. Who do you need in your boat? Who do you have available to you in your life? Whether that's friends, family, experts, your next door neighbour, people that you connect with at business meetings, not just financially. Of course, you may need a financial coach or someone to help you and keep you accountable to those financial intentions and goals. But who else do you need to support you in your life? Because this is about well-being. Wealth comes from the word well-being. This is about well-being in your life, mental stability as well as practical stability. So who do you need in your boat to keep you safe? Who do you go to talk to about problems with your children, problems with your husbands, problems with your partners, your wives, problems with self-belief and mental support, supporting you with your physical well-being, having a fitness coach perhaps, or a personal trainer, having somebody that can help you with your food and food planning. And creating some lovely, nutritious meals. Who do you need in your boat to keep you headed in the right direction, that you're not steering off course, and to hold you accountable? So that's tip number 3. Tip number 4, don't make big financial decisions during the week. So if you are particularly resonating with this instant gratification and being quite spontaneous with money and impulsive, then not making big financial decisions during the week is a big one. The working week is often the wrong time to make big financial considerations. So instead, wait until you're calm, unemotional, and in a state to make an informed decision. When I say unemotional, ladies, by the way, if you are going through your cycle and this is the time of the month for you, and you may be feeling particularly emotional, don't make any big financial decisions. I know it sounds like a bit silly, but last week for me, I was an absolute mess. I was at a financial wellbeing conference, which was amazing. And I had to stay in the room after this one particular speaker came on, because I literally just cried my eyes out. I was so emotional. And, I'm sure part of that was because he was hugely impactful, but also because it was the time of the month for me. And I just get really emotional for like 2 days of the month. My husband knows not to talk to me during those 2 days. So, if you do go through particularly emotional times during the month, don't make big decisions on those days. It's really important to take away the emotion before you make a rash decision. This also allows you to have some reflective time as well, to have conversations with your partner or friends, and to assess your financial state before actually making a decision. Tip number 5, don't compare yourself to others. Comparatitis, it's like the demon of all things. Comparing yourself to other people. Don't compare yourself to other people who may not be on the same size boat as you right now. Compare yourself to where you were yesterday. If you're thinking of this boat analogy, if you're headed over to, I don't know, some beautiful Caribbean island, wherever you just come from, compare yourself to where you are today to where you've come from yesterday. Tip number 6. I love this one. Get financially naked. Yes, girls, get financially naked. This doesn't mean physically getting naked, but this is about, not reaching out for your spreadsheet necessarily, but getting clear on your income and your outgoings, getting clear on where can you have the most impact right now. Is that by building another business on the side and trying to, bring in additional income to keep your boat afloat? Or is it actually looking at what your outgoings are, what your spending habits are, thinking back to this relationship with money piece? If you can start to plug some of that impulse spends and be saving a couple of £100 a month, that's a couple of £100 a month you can start investing with, right? So think about getting clear, getting financially naked, really getting to stripping back and thinking about where are you spending money? Where are your financial leaks coming from? It's really common that in the group, in the challenge we've been running this week, there's a lady in there that has commented and said, for the first time in 47 years, she finally understands what's causing her to spend money, to overspend. And for the first time, she's now in a position to have complete control over her finances. Like, how incredible is that? And that's really just by focusing on your relationship with money, your behaviours around money, changing your thought process that changes the emotion that you feel, that drives the decisions that you're making. Okay, so as part of that getting financially naked piece, it's about giving every single pound a job. Whether that can be allocating it to bills or to a clothes fund or to a treat fund for yourself. Give it emotion and give it purpose. Because as soon as you start giving money purpose, it gives it meaning. And giving something meaning enables you to move that one step forward. So those are my six top tips for the fastest way to build wealth. I hope you've enjoyed them. Have a wonderful rest of the week, and I will speak to you again soon. Take care. So those are my top tips for the fastest way for you to start building your wealth. Now, it would be very amiss of me not at this moment to mention that if you're looking for a money coach in your back pocket to be on your boat, then this is the last opportunity that you will have to become a founding member of the Money Circle membership. So for those of you that missed last week's podcast episode where we introduced and opened up the doors to you as early access, we're at a 50% capacity already. This is on Thursday. So by the time you guys actually listen to this, we may very well be very close to capacity or closing the doors, or may have already reached that point. And in which case, if we have, my apologies, there is a waiting list there for you to join if that has happened over the weekend. But I just want to spend a minute just to explain to you exactly what the Money Circle is all about. Now, the Money Circle membership, we've just built this new part of the area onto a brand new website, which is catherinemorgan.com. And in the membership circle, which is the Money Circle membership, this is an opportunity for you to work with me in a group environment where you'll have access to some exclusive weekly live accountability and mentoring sessions directly from me each week. Those will take place within a closed Facebook community, a closed circle. And as we've seen in the 5-day challenge that we've been doing this week on Facebook, there's something really special about getting a group of ladies together in their pajamas talking about money. So most of the Facebook lives I do in there are going to be in my pajamas, most of them will be if they're in the evening. Some of them maybe during the day as well. So but I think it's really important just to kind of, be more relaxed when we talk about money. So you'll have access to that private exclusive area, weekly live accountability and mentoring from me directly. We will also, in addition to the weekly accountability and training sessions, be doing a 30-day financial goal setting exercise with me every single month, where you can be held accountable towards those goals and intentions, and also find yourself a buddy within the circle that may be on the same journey as you, the same kind of stage of the journey. The membership content itself, there's a content area in a designed part of the website. It's beautifully designed, if I do say so myself. And you will have your own personal log on. And every month we will drop in some content for you to download that will be focused around either financial past, financial present, or financial future. And those will be in a variety of sort of audios, short videos for you to watch. There might be some checklists in there. There'll be a variety of different things, and nothing too overwhelming. The whole point of this is not to give you a whole load of videos and things to watch and just leave you to it, because I know how frustrating that can be being in a membership. So the main part of this is actually holding your hand, giving you support every single week, and holding you accountable to your goals. We'll also have some face-to-face meetups throughout the year as well, and the dates will kind of pop up as we go throughout the year. And in addition, you'll also have access to some monthly guest expert Zoom sessions. So for those of you that have never heard of Zoom, it's a video software, a bit like Skype. And every month we'll have a guest expert come in talking about different subjects that will help you to move forward. Now, not just necessarily financially related, but this could be some guest experts coming in talking about overwhelm and hormones and sole trader versus limited company setups and building websites and building your audience and things around personal finance. So lots and lots of different topics that we're going to bring to you, some guest experts in their niche areas, their sort of areas of expertise. In addition to that, you'll also have we have a monthly moments awards. So we're going to give out some extra rewards to one person every month who shows extra commitment. And I think that's really important. That's really important for me, sort of thinking about how this membership's going to work, because, I want it to be somewhere where you're actually taking action. Taking that one step, small steps equals change. So we're going to have a money. Sorry, I can't get my words out today. A Money Moments Awards, and the prize and the reward will be in lots of different formats. So you might get a gift in the post, you might get a 3 months membership, you might get a 3 months membership to give to a friend. There's lots of different things that we're going to give out. I won't spoil too many of those. And then in addition to that, you'll also have access to exclusive discounts off my one-to-one services, programs, workshops, and retreats that are coming next year. So if you would like to join the circle, I'm hoping by the time this podcast goes out that there will still be some places for you. But we may have fully sort of subscribed up with founding members over the weekend, in which case you can join the waiting list for the next time that we open the doors. But the price won't be at this price ever again. So if you do want to join, and there are still spaces, please come over to katherinemorgan.com/join now. I'll pop the link in the show notes and into the blog if you're reading this as a blog. Thank you very much for those who have already joined. Really looking forward to kickstarting our first session in a couple of weeks. And thanks so much for listening to the podcast, guys, and look forward to speaking with you next week. Take care. Enjoy the sunshine.